There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. I'm Lucious T. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life. This is RetroActive.
So we are talking about Furi. It's the game by Game Bakers. It was the PS Plus free download for the month of July. And I downloaded it, and then I happened to see my buddy John Riggs streaming it later that night. He was getting his ass handed to him by the second boss. And I saw him playing it, and I just thought, man, that looks kind of intriguing. I should check that out. So I went ahead and I started playing it. I would get through, a couple of bosses every few days. I was kind of getting into it. Story-wise, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just interested in the fact that, wow, this is a game that's just boss battles. That's all it is. It's a boss battle and then a prolonged exposition trek through some crazy scenery with a dude wearing a rabbit head that looks like he should be Jake Gyllenhaal. And it's trippy as hell. And you go to each individual boss. They apparently are jailers. You don't know why you're there. For some reason, you've been freed by this rabbit, although he kind of drops hint of him regretting having to do that throughout the game. Now, spoiler alert, I'm going to basically go in and through this game inside and out, because really the story of this game is more, you don't really enjoy it as much when you're playing it. You enjoy it during the second and third and fourth and fifth playthroughs, because then you can actually understand what the hell's going on. And your moveset consists of blaster, supercharged blaster, sword attacks, and a parry. And then there's also a blink. It's not really a dodge, it's a blink, because there's a slight delay on it. And all the different bosses you face will have their own set type of attack pattern. And once you can learn that attack pattern, you can run through this game, because it's very predictable. But there's a lot of trial and error. Now, I love this game. I had such an absolute blast. This is not a hack and slash game. It's almost a rhythm-based fighter. It even reminds me of Guitar Hero a little bit, because you can get in the zone on those long, extended solos, which just is what it feels like. It reminds me of that a little bit, but a hell of a lot more fun. This game's a marathon. You still get that same sense of satisfaction, but it's not immediately as gratifying, because sometimes you can be dying on a boss for 2-3 hours. That's how hard and insanely difficult this game can get. Now, the initial difficulty is called Furi, then there's the hard difficulty, which is called Furier, and then there's the easy difficulty, which is called Promenade. But they do a good job of making you feel like a little pansy if you pick it, which you are if you pick it, I'm sorry. That's one of the chief reasons why this game is getting mediocre reviews, I'd say. It's because people can't handle failure. There's one of the reviews, it was my favorite, where it said, this game seems to be appealing to those who like to brag about beating hard games. That's me! That is me! So I don't know if I'm just the right target audience for this, or if they're tapping into a nerve that reminds me, once again like Mighty Number 9 did, of old school video games.
My moment. I prepared for it. You are not taking it away from me.
The music in this game is spot on. I think that's probably my favorite part of this whole thing. The graphics are bright and colorful. The main character, of course, he's a silent protagonist, which I don't mind. That helps. So it makes the bunny sort of the guy who spews out what's going on. And each one of the bosses has a nice theme. So you start with the first guy who's your jailer, and then you move to some crazy psycho spider chick, and then you go to this old man who thinks he's wearing Beats by Dre and controls time. Then you get to one that's, if you know the story at the end of the game, it actually is a hell of a lot more interesting.
One thing about Fishface up there, you know, he got, contaminated.
You are the reason why this man got corrupted. Which I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. The first time I played it, I really didn't care. I just wanted to see what are they going to throw at me next. But at the end of the game, you'll notice that your character walking on Earth or whatever planet this is, he spreads decay. And then once you go back to that area, you can see that area is the same decay. And apparently, spoilers again, the whole point is that your character is being sent to Earth to see if it's ripe for assimilation with some outside alien entity that seems to be this big robot ship. When he comes into contact with that Earth, his natural just being corrupts it. So the fourth boss is one of the people who ran across your corruption, and because of it, became some weird piranha creature from the Black Lagoon. And that's another great thing, is each one of the bosses is very smartly themed, and they give them a nice color scheme. It's just really, really nice. I liked it. After that, you get to the Angel boss, who, if you decide not to fight, you can end the game right there and get one of the lame endings. It will give you a trophy. And from there, you have this kind of sniper chick that they have to have the obligatory British chick. That's just who she is. But she has the best song in the game. And from there, you move on to the Samurai dude, which is 6. So his whole thing is really just the quick time fight. So there's 2 stages in each one of these fights for the most part. You fight the first health bar where you're in an arena, you can shoot with your blaster, you can go in for slashes, you can parry and recover health. And then once you get them down to the part where you can come in for the kill, it switches to a almost one-on-one fighting style. And there you can't use your blaster anymore, but you can charge your sword. If you attack with a charged sword there, you can just wreck house. You can also charge your sword in general to make an attack. Those are hard to land for the most part. One of the things that makes this game a lot easier too, once you finally figure out what your toolkit is how to use it. So you can actually deflect projectiles. You can parry infinitely. You can use your blaster, you can charge it. Some enemies will take more damage to one of the damage types versus the other. And it's just knowing what you can do. If you hold down the X button, you can blink farther. Same thing, everything can charge. It's so simple but so well put together. I had such a blast with this. I couldn't put it down. I really couldn't put it down. After you beat the Samurai boss, which is really a difficult task, but you can beat him in about 2 minutes if you know what you're doing, especially on the normal mode. He is a joke. You get to the final boss of the game, so they say, the final jailer, who's like, oh my god, you're not a monster. And that boss is a joke. I one-shotted it on easy mode, on normal mode, and hard mode. It's just an easy match. What happens is you have 3 lives for each boss when you start it. If they kill you, their health regenerates, and then your health regenerates, and you lose a life. If you beat one of their lives, your health also regenerates, and they lose a life. And then once you beat them either 4, 5, 6, sometimes even more times, you then beat the battle and stab them in the face, which is so satisfying.
She was a cheater anyway.
Once you beat the game on Fury mode, I then went on to play Furier. And I think Furier is what made me really appreciate the game. I was about ready to say, oh, this game's an 8, this game's alright, it's a little bit too much of a marathon, it needs a little bit more of, not as many lives, blah, blah, blah. But then getting into Furier and just the intensity, the constant going back and forth. Now, in Fury mode, every once in a while, a boss in their last phase, or one of the later phases, will have a moment where it's just like, holy crap, how the hell do I get through this? Well, in Furier, every phase has that moment, and I loved it. Oh my god. You think that the Scale, which is the creature from the Black Lagoon guy, you think his last phase is a problem? It was so satisfying. It is just like, oh, that's what it was. Fury mode is satisfying. Furier is that old school satisfaction. So you just get that, rush that I'm talking about with the Mega Man boss. You get it, and it is so nice. I'm like oh! Like, it legitimately, it does that. And it gets you so good at the game if you can beat it at Furier, that after I beat Furier, I then went to go capture all the Fury bosses for the review. So they have a speedrun mode. I went through, my first try, I did the speedrun, which I'm not a big speedrun guy, but I went through, I beat every single boss. Didn't die once until the freaking sniper chick, she killed me once, but still I didn't get to continue. Got to the end of the game, got to the final phase, and then I died on the main mother boss. So I had to continue on her, but then I beat her. And I beat it in about an hour and 11 minutes, which was ranked 1001th in the world, baby. Woo! That's just how good I am, because I am a guy who likes to brag about being awesome at hard games. And that's really what this appeals to. But after you realize kind of that, the story and those sequential playthroughs get so much more interesting. Those long, prolonged periods of exposition, you really start to understand what's going on. Now, I'm not going to say that's a good choice. I mean, it is as far as it makes you understand it, but on the first playthrough, if I hadn't gone on to play Furier, I would not think of highly as this game as I do. And I really feel bad that people are judging this game based on the fact that they don't have the determination to beat it. Maybe you don't have the skills, I don't know. It really is one of those things where you need to get good. You need to get good. Once you understand how to go in for better attacks, and once you know the boss patterns, I know it's a lot of memorization, but it's so much fun. Furi is an excellent game. If I had to give it my retroactive rating, I give it a 9. I give it a 9. It's excellent.